Water. When you think of the word water, what do you think of? Do you think of the ocean, a creek, a waterfall? Maybe you think of a nice warm shower, a relaxing pool, or the clear delicious liquid you drink. While we could all think of multiple ways water is in our lives, we should also consider how and why it is important, as well as what can we do to protect it from ourselves. To understand water, we must start with the basic, which is the water cycle. How does this cycle work? In various steps. The water cycle is a never-ending circle. It has no starting or ending point. With that in mind, let's begin with evaporation. Evaporation takes place when the sun heats a body of water, whether it is the ocean, a lake, pond, or puddle. When the sun heats the water, some of it is turned into vapor. The vapor, when cooled in the air, condenses. Condensation is the process of water vapor molecules being condensed or compacted together to form the fluffy clouds that we watch float by as we lay on the plush green grass. As water vapor continues to add to these clouds, they slowly fill with water. When the clouds become abundant of water, the gas changes to a liquid and falls from the clouds. This is known as precipitation. Precipitation occurs in at least 4 forms: rain, snow, sleet, and hail. After the water has fallen from the sky and landed as gracefully on the earth as water can, 2 things will happen. Some of the water will become runoff into an ocean, lake, pond, or stream, and some of the water will infiltrate the soil and become groundwater. Then the cycle starts all over again with evaporation. What many of you may or may not have considered, as I have mentioned before, is why. Why is the cycle so important to us? The cycle is not very complicated, but plays a key role in every aspect of our past, present, and future livelihood. One major reason why this cycle is so important is that water supports all organisms that scour the earth, fly high in the heavens, and swim in the treacherous depths of the underwater world. If you think harder, though, think about all the small insects that crawl across us, and we take no notice. Think of all the bacteria that does not harm us, but actually lives within us and helps us to fight off diseases. All of the microscopic organisms that are the base of our ecosystems, who would not survive further without water. If they died off, if one day they were no more, we would cease to exist as well. This shows how important water is to all life. What else, though? What else makes water the most precious resource on Earth? Why is our actions that have interfered with the water cycle such a big deal? To understand the damage our actions have caused, we need to consider further the importance of water to us. Our bodies are made up of 65% water. Our blood is the wettest part of our bodies. It is 83% water. Our bodies would only last the maximum 10 days before we would die of dehydration. Animals are like us in that way. They need water just as much as we do to survive. Let's not forget about plants. Their roots take in the groundwater, giving them nutrients and food. The amount of clean water available for us to actually drink is very minimum. Water covers 336 million cubic miles of our home planet. However, only 1/3% of that water is fresh water that we can drink. With that in mind, should we not be doing all we can to keep the water clean and usable? Yet 1.2 billion people are at risk from contaminated water. The water is not just contaminated through pollution, but from our interference in the water cycle. By us clearing vegetation from land to build roads, parking lots, and more, we are covering the soil needed for the precipitation to sink into the ground. It remains on the surface and increases the likelihood of flash floods and soil erosion. I ask the question, why is our actions that have interfered with the water cycle such a big deal? The answer? Because by interfering with this cycle that supports life, we are taking the chance of canceling out life by taking away large amounts of fresh water that is desperately needed. In conclusion, life would not exist without water, as we would not exist without any other forms of life. The water cycle is not just a science lesson learned and reviewed every year, but a necessity for the basic understanding of the world that surrounds us and the life within. Due to this new knowledge, and the fact that we cannot continue without water, will you do your part? Will you do your homework to find out how you can help? Will you strive to teach others how to not just provide a better future for them and their families, but for future generations as well? The choices you make now may affect the water of the future. I hope you can see that water is the cycle of life.